Here's a little production meeting in a can. This is mostly for install and fabrication coming up, but this is sort of how I think we can approach this job. So this is the Bitro letters that we're sticking on a residential house there, residence. So the challenge is we have to obviously wire it first, but when we're using Bitro, we always solder our connections to keep shadows to a minimum, things like that. So the challenge is pre-wiring and having wires already out there, and then us having to figure out how to do Bitros in the field. So normally Bitros leave the shop completely self-contained, leashes are already soldered, hardware sticking out, you've got studs sticking out. But I was thinking, well, we also need to be more secure, being that this is on some sort of like a residence type of thing. So easy to walk up and just pull these off the wall unless they're secured on there more than just the normal studs like we use. So, and then obviously trying to dodge all this flotsam and jetsam there. So I'm proposing that we have power jumps here. So you'll, from the L to the I, the greens there will just be jumps. And then from there, these will all connect. So basically everything will work its way to the big M here. And then in the middle, we'll have a single leash out that will go to the power supply box on the back of the wall. I guess we're looking for something similar to what's in our office there. So in order to pull this off and not have these self-contained in the shop, we're going to have to put them together in two parts. So I'm proposing we do 3/16 polycarbonate like we do. This is showing a 1-inch standoff. So we'll go ahead and go put those on there, and this is a 2 1/4 blue screw. I'm proposing 5/8 sheeting. It looks like they've got plywood here, so even if that's 1/2 inch or whatever, but you're gonna have to make sure we move. We miss all this stuff. So anyway, so when we go to install this, you'll put the blue screw through the stucco, whatnot. This is a 1-inch standoff. You'll have your the LEDs will be in the middle of the stroke, and then we will do number 6 studs by 1 inch. They will be brass inserts there in the face, and they'll come through, and then you'll just have to blind nut them from the back to hold the letters on. So again, we want maximum security. So this allows a blue screw to attach the polycarb, so that way there's really no way to pull those off without breaking them. And then we also will have a security screw in the back to hold this on. So that'll be more secure, but that's really the only way we can do it if we're going to wire these first. Now the issue is that there is no room inside here for wire nuts. I mean, you can put a wire nut, but the chances of us getting shadows, you'd have to turn it on, wire nut it, try to put the nuts in a certain way, and then test it to make sure there's no shadows, but there's probably a good chance you're going to get a shadow. That's why we solder these, and the solder we can lay down flat and we silicone it so the solder and the wire stay below the level of the light. So this being said, we're going to have to try to solder these in the field. Really is the only way around it. Like I say, unless we try wire nuts, we could try doing maybe either install can do it, or a fab guy will go over after these get up there, and since they're got our eye in and we're better at it, have experience, just bring all your solder stuff and either extension cord or a generator or whatever, and we can make these connections in the field and try to keep them tucked under and try to keep the shadows to a minimum. So it's already going to be challenging with the LEDs in there. I'm hoping that the stud mount things right there don't give us any trouble with light. So like I say, usually with Bitros, this particular stud mount thing can be put strategically, but it also is the mounting point as well. So that's the challenge here, is now we've doubled our penetrations and we've got cause for shadows and things like that. So anyway, so when install goes and puts this up, I'll give them a pattern for where the power goes proposed, and I'll give them a pattern also that'll include where mounting goes. instead of just using the pattern once and tearing it down, what I suggest to do is put the pattern up there. And if you have to move any of these, then go ahead and, mark it, drill it, and then make sure the pattern comes back in good shape. And then we can then reverse transfer our polycarbonate to that, and we can draw where the new holes are. Should we need to adjust where any of these holes are based on where all this lands. So, because you're going to have to move a little left or right, because like this pipe here is pretty much right where the eye is. So this might have to fudge over a little bit, which then moves this over, which then puts the power supply hole for that right there. Or if you go back this way, that should clear everything. If you go left, or you're right as you're looking at it. So anyway, if you have to freestyle a little bit with the pattern, like I say, I suggest you keep the pattern in good shape, bring it back for if you adjust any of these holes. So if that looks good to you, hit me up. I'd like to conference on this, have a little powwow, see what's up. So definitely hit me up about this, but this is kind of how I see it going. So if this works for you, let me know.